Army! That's my Avenue Therapy, Army. How we doing? Big up Khalees, Chief Editor, United Real Therapy. Big up to Alien Tenno, man. Big up. Love and light people. Love and light people. Smash a like on your way in. On your way in, just smash it. Let's smash it for Mcfred. Mcfred, the saviors of Man United season, people. That's the debate today. The debate is, can Mcfred, is it back to life, back to reality? Can Mcfred save Man United? That's the question. Hopefully we're going to get Tom to come on and Saeed to come on. And if Aaron's out there wants to jump on, no problem as well. It is what it is, people. Big up Jarvis Cocker. Big up to every one of you. We're going to be talking about also, it's not just VAR, but refereeing in this country. So this is where I really want to get the points of views of other fans as well. Other fans, other Premier League fans, you know, all of the teams. It's not just about Man United. It's about all these other teams. We've seen horrendous decisions just in this weekend, even at the Newcastle game. To me, there's no consistency. And why are they struggling? Why are referees in this country struggling? Where the World Cup, VAR worked perfectly. The refereeing, I don't think it was any massive controversies or bad refereeing in the World Cup. Do we have to just say it, that the referees in this country are not up to it? But first, we're going to kick off. Big up to Tom. Tom, are you in the Seven Hills? Is it cold? Because in Manchester, wash out.
Big up.
It's just go cold grey, just like Man United on the weekend, mate. Anthony Taylor, Andre Menera, I put the spell on Manchester, not just Manchester United, mate. How are we doing, Tom?
Yeah. Listen, we're doing good. We're doing fine here in Sheffield and everything. And listen, family, friends, all good, brothers. Listen.
Big up. Saeed, how you doing?
Yeah, man, not too bad, man. The weather's not great. I tell you what, man, the weather is absolutely depressing. But listen, man, we got to keep going, man. You know, new week, new energy, new vibes. That's what they say, eh?
It is. Listen, I'm going to go to you. You tweeted it out. You tweeted it out on the weekend. You've inspired the show today. Back to life, back to reality.
Back to life.
Back to reality.
You know
Back to life.
Soul, one of the greatest soul musicians in the country. Soul to soul. Go and check it out, people. Back to life, back to reality. Saeed, straight after that, when you realized the 4 games that Casemiro's going to be missing, you tweeted it out there and then. In your honest answer, can Mcfred save the season? Because that's what he needed.
You know what it is, though, man? If the Sabitzer was there, then I'd be more confident. But I don't know what the Sabitzer situation is. Ten Hag, you know what I mean? I don't know if he said anything in his... it would have been a good opportunity for the journalists to ask questions. But, of course, the questions would have been focused on the red card situation, you know, the incidents that happen on the pitch, not players or people that are not in the game. So we don't know what's going on with there. But we are back to the reality, man. It is Mcfred. You know what I mean? Unless he goes with this random formation that he's doing right now, where he plays 2 8s in terms of, you know, Sancho and then Bruno. That could be a possibility, but you can't do that when, you know what I mean?
It's apparently a groin injury. Apparently.
Is it a groin injury?
Suppose.
Yeah, well, hopefully then he'll be back after the international break. But we have got flipping Europa League. Obviously, Casemiro will be back for that one, so we don't have to worry about that. But the FA Cup's still a big game, man. You know what I mean? I know they got dispatched Fulham against Arsenal, but still be a difficult game. So we've actually caught life a little bit, but then it's almost as if we can't focus on the problem now. It's almost as if we can brush aside the problems right now. And then later on, when it comes to April the 1st, I think we're back, is it? When we're back on April the 1st, it's going to be hit us like, bro, there's no tomorrow. It is going to hit everyone. Damn. Shit, we've got a game. We actually have to play Mcfred. And that's who would have thought, who would have thought after Ericsson, after Donny, after Casemiro, after everybody who's been here, Alex Salam, bro, you know, everything, that Mcfred would be still alive? You know, someone saying Kobe Mino, big up Alien Tenno, but I don't think he's going to be brushed in. But listen, man, McTominay, he played well yesterday, eh? But you know what it is, though? They only play well when they're not playing with each other. If they play with each other, that's when the Dick and Dom come out. That's when you know what I mean? To you, Jordan. To me.
Oh God. Honestly, Saeed, I think everything you said is spot on. The fact that we've separated them, we've broke up that marriage, right? Ten Hag came in, let it happen the first couple of games of the season, then said, right, I've had enough of this marriage.
I've had enough.
Literally.
Oh.
But now they're back together, mate, just like bread and butter. Mcfred are back
Bro.
together. So how do we do this, people? Tom, where do you see it? Big up Khalees. Khalees' Man United share price has fallen lowest. 23-day combination of general market jitters following the bank collapse or lost confidence finding a buyer to pay sick for the club. Kieran Maguire. It's what it is. Big up to everybody. Please smash the like on your way in. Please also make sure that you follow Tom Journalist 1 and Sa'id TV across all social media. We've just done the Straight Jacket podcast. I've gone in on Dermot Gallagher.
Dim.
I've gone in on him. Whatever his name is. Dermot the Muppet. Ex-referee that Fergie ruined his life. Because referee all said in it, the refs are S-H-I-T. You know what I mean? Refs are shite. Fergie's right. The refs are shite. Fergie's right. So it is what it is, people. It's what it is. So they all tried to hit back at him. So go and check it out. Robust, honest, Straight Jacket podcast. Go and check it out, people. And make sure you give Tom a follow as well. At the end of the day, Tom, we are like Georgie B says, we're stuck with him. We are stuck with him. And it's also official now. We broke the news on the Straight Jacket podcast that they've decided. I think they should have done it. I think they should have just said, you know what, the inconsistency. How can a referee get it so bad in the game before, then become VAR, then thinks that because he feels guilty about what happened yesterday on Saturday, then
the reason I think the reason why is because of it's not a case of when they take it to an appeal, all the appeal that they can use in terms of evidence is the actual shot and the screenshot. They can't play the video, they can't play the clips, and they can't use different angles. All you have is we need to see the screenshot of where the contact is made. And the contact comes as soon as the contact moves off of the ball and you see Casemiro's stud is on his shin. That's all that they can use to appeal against. So effectively, the FA, with how their laws work on the actual appeals process, they've tied the arms of Manchester United's lawyers or executives behind the back, because if you wanted to play the video clip, I think there's more of a higher chance that something could have been done for it to be overturned. But the only reason why I don't think they've gone for it in this case is because when you just use the image, it looks a lot worse than it actually is if you use the video. But they go off of the images, not the videos. That's the problem. And listen, that's not just for Man United, that's for the whole Premier League, and that's how all the appeals processes work. They go off of the actual picture. You look at the Casemiro one with Will Hughes earlier in the season against Crystal Palace. It was off the image. It wasn't off the video. All they need is the image of where he's got his hands around the player's throat or on his shirt, whatever. That's all that they use in an appeals process. They don't play clips and videos.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the reasons why they're not going to appeal it, because on the other hand, yes, if you can play the video clips, you can potentially fight a case there. But they're obviously looking at it and thinking, well, we've got an international break anyway, so he's going to be away from the squad anyway to clear this all off of his head and that anyway. He can still play Europa League when we have the fixtures there. So he still has his perks and uses in terms of that. Whereas we take the risk and run the risk of getting him 5 games instead of 4. And then you're without him for another game. And like you say, at this moment in time, we need any midfielder that we can because we've got a crisis. And we have got a crisis at one point in time because... And do you know the thing that annoys me the most, though? And I'll just say this last point is the things that happened, say, with Eriksen, the things that happened with Donny van der Beek, and then you look at this and you think, but that Southampton player still walks today. He's not on crutches. He's not in an ankle boot or anything like that, leg brace, anything. He just walks around as if nothing's happened.
He's not had to have an operation.
This is the thing. He's not got to have surgery, lasting, where you've got recovery, you've got programs. All it is a case of he's gone down, he's felt a bit of contact, and he's thought, right, let's have him here. and then the FA and all of their different processes. And listen, with Dermot Gallagher, I've always said this about officials and referees. The people that referee our game today, and I always say it with football clubs as well.
Listen, Tom, I'm going to
Football
stop
clubs
you there.
are the crisis
Listen, Tom.
of football.
Listen, Tom, I'm going to stop you there. We're going to come to the referees in a minute.
Yeah, go on.
I just want me to focus on this first part. Mcfred, do you have any faith in them? Big up Alien Tennis. Facts, Mcfred never filed for a divorce. Go ahead.
I don't. Listen, we've been here before, though, haven't we? And they had 3 years with Ollie, and they didn't prove anybody's wrong. They didn't prove anybody wrong, did they? Let's be real. We played them two together. We didn't win a trophy. You bring Casemiro in, you win a trophy in 6 months. So I look at that and I just think it speaks volumes at the end of the day. And I don't have a lot of faith. No, listen, Ten Hag is a genius in this case. For me, I would rather sacrifice Martinez and play him as CDM than have those two pair together. Because even when you pair those two together, and I'm thinking like out of the box here, even when you pair those two together, right? Where's your midfield option if one of those two gets cropped or they need to come off? Where's your option? You haven't got one. That's the problem where I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, you play McTominay, Fred and Fernandes, that's the only three midfielders that you have either via suspension or injury. And I look at that and I just think, well, we are FUCK in this case because we are absolutely done over because all of our midfielders are either out suspended or injured. And you look at other players, like we're still waiting on what's happening with Garnacho. We don't know about the seriousness there. It's a bit, so like you say, the delay on that in terms of the actual process.
For the challenge, Tom, he's twisted his ankle, but we don't know how bad it is.
We don't know how bad it is. I don't know. He walked off. I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing. He walked out the stadium on his own 2 feet, which I always think for any player, I think it's a good thing.
He was in a protective boot.
That's the only problem. He was in a boot, and we saw what happened with Ericsson the last time one of our players was in a boot. They didn't play. They've been delayed for up to 4 to 5 months, which for any player is never good, and at least for a young player anyway. In that case, but no, I don't have any faith in McTominay and Fred. No, been there, done it, tried it, didn't work. So no.
Like I said, for me, it's again the manager. What can he do to tweak it? Will he actually want them back? As much as we're saying, I don't think personally he's going to play McFred. And call me crazy, but I don't think he does it. The way he plays, he likes to have one holding midfielder. Yes, Sabitzer is played in a double pivot, but when have you rarely seen our 2 midfielders play so low block? Fred is pressing up high of the pitch. Sabitzer's pressing up high of the pitch. We don't play that sort of way. So anybody that thinks maybe, again, it's a daunting thing. Obviously it is, but I necessarily, when I look at it deep down, I don't think necessarily he'll play him. He'll play McTominay, Bruno, and then Sancho further forward. But then again, is he risking the element of, because McTominay is not in form. He's coming back from, in playing out of the team. Again, that was a game where I think United as a whole, we were dogged, we were defending well. Yeah. Martinez had an unbelievable game. It's sort of game that with the crowd and with what's going on, everybody's kind of doing things 100% more. But when it's like flat out and you're playing against Bruno Gomes, you're playing against, Newcastle's midfield, you're playing against Fulham's midfield with Paulinho back in there. It's a different dimension, man. And you need a combative midfielder with Paulinho in there. You need someone who's going to bully Paulinho.
Listen, did you see how Fulham conceded 3 goals in I think one of the
without
games
Paulinho?
Without Paulinho.
Exactly.
Listen, this is just from Einstein today. Apparently, it says Harry Kane among the main options of the career of Man United. Wow, that's breaking news. But as things stand, Saeed, actually, I'm going to ask you, why do you want Harry Kane?
I personally, it's a preference. It's not that I don't want Harry Kane, but I want Victor Osimhen.
Exactly.
I've been watching him. It's a preference. I've been watching Osimhen a lot this season and obviously last season as well. I think he's the perfect striker that could play in United's front three. I think he could provide options. The way he stretches defense,
you've been watching a lot of that.
What's his pace, power, hold up play, stretches defense. Runs down the channels.
What about his technical abilities? Is he good on technical?
technical, Kane's better.
Okay,
Technical,
let
Kane's
me
better.
ask you this then, Said.
But we're in a PSP league.
With all those attributes you've just said, we know the price tag's going to be ridiculous. And let's just call it at face value. If the Glazer family are here, Victor Osimhen would probably be all you would get in the summer. You probably wouldn't get anything else. So would you still say that he's that good that you need him that much? And he's the only player that you can afford to take?
Obviously, in that sense, of course. You know what I mean? And big up to HK Moon says Osimhen and Rashford won't work side. You know, in a league where it's PMP and it's you're seeing now fast fullbacks. You're seeing fast centre back. You're seeing teams that can play out from the back. It's very, very much 100 miles an hour. So, end of the day, Osimhen can fit in this Man United team like a glove. And the way we're built in now, we're gonna have better midfielders now. We're gonna have players that can progress the ball quicker. You know what I mean? We're gonna have things that will suit our system. So I think one more year under Anthony, that will help as well. But with Harry Kane, I just look at the longevity and I look at the idea of as a package. He's going to cost 100 million. I don't get this idea that United fans think if Harry Kane's going to cost 80 million. Are you having a laugh? So
to me, Saeed, 70 million a year left on his contract. That's about right, and that's even too expensive.
Yeah, but there you go. I reckon for me, if they're going to sell him, they're going to sell him for 100 million. Say we're going all out. If you want to leave, here's the money. What was the deal with Grealish? Was it like 100 million? Was it called release clause, wasn't it?
No, I think 100 million. Yeah, but they added a bunch of, but they wanted bonuses on top of that as well. But obviously, they don't.
You know what?
Get
I want
on.
to go. Listen, I want to go back to Mcfred. So big up. I just wanted to ask Saeed what his opinion was. Natalie says Mcfred is like having diarrhea from bad food, just getting run through. Oh man!
Oh Jesus!
Oh my God! Oh my God! Big up everybody, by the way. Love and like to everybody. Please smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. I think we're 120 short. I don't know. We're 100 and something short of 7,000. So come on, people. Smash a like, subscribe to the channel, and let's see if we can get to 7,000 before the end of the month. Manchester United are continuing to overload data department with a capture of Alex Klin from Southampton. We need more than that. By the way, I also hope that Southampton go down. I really hope they go down.
You're pulling a tie, are you?
Yeah. I hope they get relegated.
Don't pull a tie, Nuruddin. Don't pull a tie.
I don't rate McTominay, but I'm not going to act like he doesn't deserve to play next game. Now, no problem. That's what it is. That's what I want. I want people who really back. I want people who back Mcfred to come on and tell me and Saeed and Tom all tell us not to worry and that Mcfred are going to save the season. That's what I said. Question mark. Mcfred to save the season. Do you believe that they can? I don't know what that is about, but anyway, big up Connor. Java says, I'd rather have Paulinho than Harry Kane, 100%.
He's costing, apparently it's costing about 60 odd million, 70 odd million.
I'll take that. I'll bite your hand off to get in for 6. For me, the overall package has got to be 60.
We need a replacement for Casemiro, by the way. I don't know if you people are noticing this, but we bought Casemiro, but we need a replacement.
That was my original point about Casemiro. He's only going to get more slower and going to have more anytime, mate. That's what's going to happen.
But we need obviously it's not good that we don't have a backup holding midfielder anyway. So United need to get a backup on that.
Do you know what they need to do?
It's not a backup. Don't take it as a back. I want somebody good as Casemiro or even better.
So I think that's the thing.
Casemiro is not pressure to play all.
Maybe a young Kone.
Let's look at the basis of it though. Where what City did, for example, they already had Fernandinho, who was arguably one of the best central defensive midfielders in the world at the time that he was playing with Pep. Pep looked at him for, I need to have a contingency plan. I need to have a long-term option there. He went, right, let's go and steal somebody else's best central defensive holding midfielder. Oh, there's Rodri over at Atletico Madrid. Let's go and get him. They pulled out all the stops to get him, and he was their marquee signing. And for the first 2 years, he wasn't their main central defensive midfielder. He just learnt the trait and learnt the role in Pep's team off of Fernandinho. And when Fernandinho was made captain when company left, that transition was so much more smoother. And when you look at it now, it's as if they've just got a new Fernandinho in the team because Rodri is that glue and that butter that's going to be there for the next 10 years, like Fernandinho did for his duties at that football club. So we do need to look at that option. And this is why I'm thinking, whoever the owner is, whether it's Qatar and they're going to come in with the big bucks, Sir Jim, who's going to be more maybe constraint, but he's going to put the right people in places, or you still have the Glazers, I still look at it and think we need to budget everywhere. I don't think it's as simple as you can chuck £70 million at what, like, you look at the market now for a central midfielder, you go Caicedo, you're getting ripped off. Paulinho, you're getting ripped off. We need to find one of these players before they go to a Brighton, before they go to a Fulham.
But that's down to recruitment, though. Recruitment.
This is what I mean, Said. It's down to recruitment. And in terms of our recruitment, it doesn't come good normally until 3 or 4 years after we sign players. You look at Ahmad, you look at Palestri. We're only starting just to see something now.
Yeah.
We bought them like 3-4 years ago when they were like
point.
16-year-old nobodies. That's the only problem. And in terms of the market right now, I cannot remember the last time Man United plucked a player out for between £5 to £10 million and they was a superstar success in the last, maybe 5 years, should we say? I can't remember that time. Or whenever, even when they left Man United, they had major resale value. Because we just signed, like Nurin says most of the time, we signed Zimmer-frame players. And just on the point with Harry Kane anyway, I like it. Listen, Harry Kane of 5 years ago, he was perfect. Let's be real. He was perfect. At the same time when they lingering about Poch coming to Man United, that was the time we should have brought both of Poch and Kane as a duo. And we should have brought them both to Old Trafford. Now I look at it and think, we'll get ripped off for a player who Spurs can easily replace because they've replaced players before. You look at the Gareth Bale deal. I mean, they absolutely bent Real Madrid over massively with that deal at the end of the day.
Just to cut you off, Tom, your boy Scamacca.
Yeah, I would want him 100%.
But you know what, though?
David, listen to me, Saeed.
You ruined him.
No. Let me finish, right? The other guy that was at West Ham, David Moyes' coaching is basic 1980s BTEC coaching. He does not.
The guy see what he said about him, though? Do you see what he said about him?
No, listen to me. The guy leaves, Saeed, yeah? The guy that West Ham spent big money to go and get the brother from Germany. He comes to West Ham.
Hello.
What does David Moyes do with him? Zilch.
Yeah.
Blames him. The guy goes to Ten Hag at Ajax. Balls out at Champions League. Balls out. So David Moyes has got a history. And if anyone of you want to come for me, I said it at a time, and Tom will tell you this. I said he went to the wrong coat and the wrong.
Let me get I'm going to ask you a question on the. He came out with a comment saying about. He came out with a comment saying that the data apparently is wrong, and we don't see the physical aspects of Scamacca. And they say that in training he doesn't do what basically the data proved. But listen, man, I think
the data. Doesn't.
I do want to see a little bit, though.
Patterns.
I do want to see a little bit more than splashing out 50-60 million on Scamacca, because that's what it'll cost you.
This is the thing, though. We need to be. Listen. Let's put the containment on it. Let's put the containment on it, though, Nuruddin. When we look at it, right?
Let me just get this point of view. This now, David Moyes has got history, and I will be proven right. Trust me on this one. His attributes are there, but you tell me.
Cahill did well under him. Cahill, Lukaku.
Listen, Saeed, let me say something to you now. When was the last time that Scamacca this season has played 10 games in a row? Has he played 10 games in a row? No, he hasn't.
No, he hasn't.
Exactly. So how do you expect?
He's injury prone. He's injury prone now.
Listen, no, Saeed, no. No, he's not injury prone. How do you expect the data for him to show what? Listen, all I'm saying to you is that Haller is a little older and he's balled out when he goes to a coach. That's the difference, people. For me, Scamacca, his attributes are all there, people.
I'll give you, they don't play him. They don't play him.
Listen, yeah. But listen, there's players like Scamacca, though, Nuruddin. There's players like Scamacca where
you tell me
they only
goals for West Ham. You go and tell me who's scoring goals for West Ham.
They don't score enough goals.
They don't score enough goals anyway, so. I think, listen, I look at such as Scamacca and everything, and I think there's some players that can come to the Premier League and they embed in the culture, they embed in their team that they're at, they embrace the manager, like everything just fits like a glove. But this, especially with Italian players, a lot of Italian players don't tend to come to the Premier League unless there's something different about them. And what I mean by that is you look at some of the greatest midfielders, you look at some of the greatest Italian players to ever grace the game. Pirlo never even sniffed about coming to the Premier League. You look at such as Locatelli, there were so many clubs that were supposedly in for him. Didn't come, he went to Juventus, the best team in Italy at the time. You look at Sandro Tonali, I don't know how many times we were linked with him coming to here. Never came. Like, so many good Italian players who were so styled and brilliant in that league. Like, you look at Tammy Abraham. He couldn't hit a barnyard door in the Premier League. As soon as he goes over to Italy, where he doesn't have that pressure, can hit for England. So...
Okay. You know what, Tom? I agree to a certain extent. But then I can also show you Casaraghi. He balled out at Chelsea. Gianluca Vialli, Sola, Di Canio. All these type of players have done well. But what you have to understand with Italian players, they have to go to the right club under the right management. They can't just get David Moyes, 1980s football, mate. I'm sorry. That's why he was never a Man United manager, never in his life.
Christ, never.
Would be because with Everton, one season they're pushing for top 4, top 5. Next minute, they're mid-table. Next minute, they're fighting against relegation. That's David Moyes for you. His 1980s data, it does not compete with Scamacca.
No.
It's finished. At the end of the day, Hala, to me, people would come at me hard, but they know I've got Hala. Hala came, absolute disgraceful the way he was treated, goes to a coach at Ajax, balls out in Champions League week in, week out. How do you explain that? Simple, people. Listen, Ravanelli balled out here. It all depends. All depends. All depends for me. The type of style of football they go. Honestly, that's why I never wanted David Moyes anywhere near Manchester United. Anywhere, excuse me, near Manchester United. That's who he is. That's his level.
No, there's also that left winger that plays for Napoli. And you know when you talk about a Figo region, yeah, it's called Kvaratskhelia. I finally pronounced his name right. He's quality. And you know what? Again, he would be 100 million plus. But again, this is a situation. If the Qatars come in, then we're cooking. If they don't, and we end up, you know what I mean, with Elliott Fund and God forbid the Glazers do stay, then it's going to be a very, very, you know, I would say slow summer.
I just want to explain to people, Bangu, Eric, the Glazonomics does not listen to scouts. Glazonomics gets you big name players because of the social media interactions. The guy who's the chairman of your football club, the CEO, at this moment, this guy called Richard Arnold, who tells you speculation with us buying players helps our social media networks. So it's not about us signing players who are good for football on the football pitch. It's about signing names. I can never pronounce this guy. Somebody needs to help me pronounce his name properly. Kavarat.
Mabangu.
No.
It's called Kavarat.
Kavaratskhelia. Kvaratskhelia is, for me, one of the best players in the world right now, the way he's playing. He's absolutely balling out. I better have Jones play forward than have a great mentality.
By the way, where is Jones, man? Where is this guy, Jones, man? Like, seriously, man, I want to know, man.
He's
having a go at a pundit's career, isn't he?
Yeah.
No, seriously, he must be going through.
You know what? He looked ill. I'm not going to lie to you. He looked ill. He looked ill. I really hope. I hope that something comes out and tells us what's going on, because I think other than ridicule him, he needs more love and support, because he looked ill the other day. He looked really ill. Yeah, we should have kept Ghana to understudy Casemiro, or did I not think Ghana was the type of player? I don't personally think that was a signing, specifically because he didn't even see him. And I know Ten Hag's the type of manager that wants to see players. At the end of the day, that his hand was forced because they had to balance the books, and that's why they had to sell him. It is what it is. Listen, we're going to move on to our next thing. So on to you. Last question. Mcfred, are we wishing him all well, or do we separate them, or do we keep them together for those two come save us in April?
I think they're gonna be kept apart. I really do, man. I think the manager knows the data at Man United. He knows what's Man United's anxiety points to fans. You know what I mean? They don't want to see that. And I think now the way we've built up this kind of situation where we're not, one kind of way of playing. We are dynamic. We are now doing things that I would never have expected United to do in terms of playing 2-8s and that kind of system where Sancho and Bruno can play in that midfield with one holding midfielder. We're doing things that are not the norm for my United fans. And it is going to take some time, but ultimately, if we want to see this progressive football, if we want to see this expansive Ten Hag way, we are going to do things that are not the norm. You know what I mean? So I genuinely think he won't play them. I genuinely think he won't. I think Sabitzer hopefully will be back after the international break. And he'll go with Casemiro on thingy. And he'll play McTominay. I think Fred will be the one that drops out. Unless Fred is the one further forward. And then maybe you see them in the same starting 11, but you don't see them traditionally sitting back like they normally do. You know where they hog the halfway line or the edge of the D where we are? Then I get that. But at the same time, I think there'll be a more expansive style. Because Fred, for me, I don't know if you guys seen it yet, but Fred was more further forward than Bruno on Thursday. You know what I mean? So that's the way I kind of looked at it when I was watching the game. I see Fred pushing up the pitch higher than Bruno Fernandes. So, you'll see Bruno Fernandes maybe tuck in more, and maybe that might suit his style a little bit better. But I think for me, generally, we'll have a bit, there's going to be more substance to our play now. That's just the way I think of it. Don't know if you disagree.
No, you know what? Listen, it's going to be very interesting to see what Ten Hag does. And thank God we've got, if it is, we're going to come to it in a minute. But before, we're going to go to the referee, and then we're going to talk about some bits. So I want to save that chat for later, because this mystery injury, we need to know. We need to be able to find out. But big up to everybody who's talking about the Cavara. Cavara? Is that how you say it? Cavara?
Call him Cavara, yeah. Call him Cavara.
Okay. Listen, Cavara is an absolute baller. Big up HK Music. Cavara is a better left winger than Rashford. Listen, at the end of the day, he's more of a winger than he is of an inverted attacker. Rashford is the hybrid between a winger and a striker. He's more of a striker, more of a goal-scoring inverted winger than a winger. He's more of inverted forward than a winger, 100%. He would be a guy that gets you off your feet, but I think we've got that covered on the right. I'm expecting Ahmed to come back next season and be a baller at Man United. I'm expecting that to give competition to the likes of Anthony. But please smash a like on the video. I want to ask you guys the questions. Saeed, you do some watch-alongs in Serie A. You watch some games. I watch some games on the French league as well. I also watch the Liga as well. What's the standard? So we're not just talking about Man United, so don't bring it back to Man United, right? But you do a lot of watch-alongs, a big rival watch or whatever, right? What do you think the refereeing standard is? You watched the World Cup, the refereeing in the World Cup, and how VAR was used in the World Cup. How can the league that claims to be the biggest and the best in the world have officials like that we have right now? Because every other weekend, it's not just the big clubs, it's mid-table clubs and small clubs. It's that these people are affecting people's jobs, people's livelihoods, clubs and careers. So how can they be allowed to have substandard refereeing throughout the Premier League season, especially since after the World Cup? Because
we don't call them out, man. And this is the thing, when people are walking out like Gary Lineker and Ian Wright, then the managers and players should be doing the same. There's no accountability for these refs. I think for me, when I look at the standard of officiating in the Serie A, when you look at it in La Liga, look at the way they communicate with the players. Look at the way that there isn't this ill discipline with the players as well. Look at the way that they're communicating with the VAR and the way they go straight away. It's quick, it's decisive, and it's more enough the correct decision. When it's here, it's just a calamity, man. And the thing is with me, I look at the referees in it, I just think maybe are they outdated with the whole idea of technology and the way you use it. Maybe their ego of, well, this is how we used to referee and this is what we're doing. I'm not letting this one go. You know what I mean? So I do think there's a conflict of referees who have been there for a while now that have just now outdated in terms of their refereeing. And then you've got the new VAR system. So if you put them two together, you've got a new system of refereeing and a new system way of detecting when there's been a red card and when there's certain decisions been. And you've got an old school way of referees who have not been here and have not been good enough for the past few years. So ultimately, it's not VAR, it's the people who are controlling VAR. And who's controlling VAR? People like Phil Massey and whatnot. This is the problem. It's not the actual VAR. It's the referees that are in control. And until that changes, you're going to keep seeing these decisions. You're going to see them time and time and time again. And that's the ultimate bottom line. The ones in Europe, the ones that are always at World Cups and whatnot, the reason why there's so many referees across Europe from other leagues, and there's only, hardly ever that come to the World Cup for England, there's a reason why. Because they're not good enough. And the way they officiate, it's not good enough. So for me, I don't blame VAR. Personally, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't like VAR because it kills the game and it kills the enjoyment. I don't know if it's just because I'm speaking when I go to the games, you're celebrating a goal and the next thing you have to relax. Same way where you watch it on TV. Imagine celebrating a goal and you have to realize, but I get it.
You know what? I'll tell you this. Unless I can see I'm in line, you know where I sit. Unless I'm in line, especially when we're shooting towards the Stretford end, unless I'm in line with that and I can see that nobody's offside, I don't celebrate a goal. I don't celebrate a goal. I wait for the VAR. It's so weird.
You know, that's funny, because now, Leslie's next to me, innit? And I have to tell her, because she can't see it. She probably needs to get her glasses and look at the linesman. And I have to tell her, Leslie, no, it's offside, it's offside. I just look at the linesman now. So sometimes I'm looking at the linesman before the goal's gone in. You know what I mean? So this is a new norm of football now, where we're having to talk about referees all the time and referee decisions. What I seen against Chelsea was a disgrace as well. I don't know if you guys seen as well. The stamp on Sabitzer, the clear red card decision on João Felix, but get brushed aside. And then the guy who was in the midst of all that controversy was the guy that was refereeing or was a VAR official for Manchester United. How does that make sense? He should have been told to stay off and don't come back. Don't even dare be the VAR official for Man United Southampton game. Don't even dare. But I don't know what you think, Tom.
About it, Tom, I'm going to come to you. Are you there, Tom? Big up to everybody, by the way. Please smash a like. There's nearly 200 of you. Well, there's 160 of you in here. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel. I think we're 120 or 30 short of 7,000.
Come on, man. So we need to get that.
Let's get close as we can to that. Tom, do you think that to the league that calls itself the best league in the world, when we've seen, because if we didn't see the World Cup, if we didn't have the World Cup, I would not be able to make this case. Mm-hmm. The red cards that were red cards in the World Cup were gone. VAR was used only to check certain decisions. It wasn't used for everything. You've got somebody like Mark Clattenburg, ex-referee, coming out saying that he literally made him quit football. He literally said this, right? He literally said, right, referees are scared to make decisions. He said VAR is making Premier League referees worse. VAR is under the spotlight in weeks, but number of shocking errors in the Premier League. Former referee Matt has given a controversial view on his the place at top flight. So other than embrace VAR and see it as a help, why do they have to? Why do they not give the ultimate control? For me, from everything I see, they're not giving the ultimate control to the referee. What the VAR guys are doing is bringing other things that the referee is seeing. That's not a error. Do you know what I mean? An obvious right? So when we see it in the World Cup, it worked perfectly fine. We saw the standard referee. But how can the Premier League claim to have the best referees where every club in this land, up and down this land, can tell you decisions that have gone against them?
Yeah, well, the way how I always look at it with football clubs, with referees or whatever, when you look at people who are, whether you're an owner, you're an ex-player, or you're a pundit now, everybody's sort of mindset is, oh, well, 10, 15 years ago, I was playing, or I was refereeing, or I bought a football club, and the world's moved on. You look at now with football ownership, for example, people with money have taken the game away from such as FSG, and FSG have been priced out of modern day football. Same thing when I make the point now with referees. You have people like John Moss. You have people like Anthony Taylor, Andre Marinette. Like, you have all of these referees who have been around the block now for nearly over 10 years, of whom the game's moved on. It's not like 5 years. Like, you take that challenge and you stick it and say it was Roy Keane 15 years ago. It probably would have just been a yellow card, even if that. At the end of the day,
Tom, it's not even about the decision. It's about like the handball.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
Properly. And let me just get this. This is an Arsenal fan, yeah, and Arsenal fans cry every week. Even when they win, they cry about referees, right?
Same old Arsenal.
Like cheating. Same old Arsenal. Always cheating. Listen, I'm not talking about anybody. You've actually got a referee sacked, your club, and you've got a cheat to come and talk about Man United. Your club got the referee sacked. He resigned after the mess up in your game. So I'm talking about across the board, from the bottom of the league to mid-table to top of the league. Everybody can see and understand that there's no consistency. They don't know how to use VAR. Mark Clattenburg is telling you referees are scared. What does that say, Tom?
Well, it tells you that when referees are using modern day technology, it's either they don't know how to use it right, or they've been caught out in terms of the old officiating and now the new officiating, because they know psychologically it's going to be checked anyway. So it doesn't matter if they make the right decision or wrong decision based on what the field is. They can look at a challenge and think, I'm not sure there, but they could either refer it to VAR if they want to, if VAR even gives a damn to even check it. But the one thing is, you pay all this money for this technology, you should check every single decision on that football field.
Tom, wait there. Maya, we don't block anyone here. Everybody, rival fans, whatever, welcome, but we challenge them on their deluded criticism. So here he says here, Casemiro's been one of our best players this season. He went in for the ball, caught the player, and you want me to criticize him. Romero, don't you ever compare a Spursy player to Manchester United player. That's blasphemous. That's automatic yellow. Automatic yellow. Come better and come correct. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, but listen, I just look at it and think, with how they use technology, and the same thing with the handball rule. I said it before and I'll say it again. You might as well just not have handball in football at all. You might as just, because I'm sorry, if you amputate that player's arm and you chop it off, that ball goes straight through to our workhorse. And whether he scores, misses, or whatever, we can estimate and have the assumptions there. But it's embodiment of play. It's lost your team a chance, and it's lost possession, most importantly. So at the end of the day, you look at the physics of football and say, any contact in the box, it's a penalty. You might as well say either any contact with a player's arm in the box is a penalty, or you might as well just let them handle the ball willy-nilly. Because when you look at the basis of the rules, they are not tight, they are not consistent. Before VAR was ever brought into the game, we didn't have all these controversies, because you used to have maybe a scandal or a controversy maybe every month, maybe. What major decision where it should have been the other way? VAR was supposed to bring that in where you would have no scandals, you would have no decisions, but all VAR has done since it's been introduced has just brought more debate, more opinions, and more arguments. And I look at the basis of the substance and think, people like Dermot Gallagher, mate, you were refereeing 20, 30 years ago, mate. Like, you're in a completely different era when you look at things like that. Because 20 years ago, if you saw that challenge and you were a referee in Anthony Taylor's position, you would not have even booked him. So I don't want to see this basis now that you've got a highly cooperated position. You've been appointed by the Premier League, the FA, or the referees sort of diverse group, to then say that you can pass down the law and anything. Listen, football's left you behind, mate. You need to go back in your armchair. Not being on Sky Sports and doing analysis on, I think this was a red card, or back in my day, if I was the referee, I would have done this, that, the other. But do you know the funny thing is, ever since Dermot Gallagher, Howard Webb, whoever you want to use in that card, ever since they've actually been appointed in these roles, the VAR and officiating's got worse. Because I remember a couple of years ago, Man United, Jesus Christ, people used to complain about us getting so many penalties. I can't even remember the last time we even got one. That's how bad this is now in terms of the actual officiating. But overall, I've always said this, and I'll say the same point. The FA needs to get the tail between the legs, get back to the end of the season, same with the Premier League and Richard Masters, and we need to do a review of train these referees on how to use VAR, or so you try and basically educate the referees you have now and put it into practice over the summer, or you scrap the whole refereeing officials right now and you bring in a young new batch of officials, whether it be from Europe, whether it be from the Championship, wherever it be, and you educate them to referee at the highest level.
Tom, let me just hold you there 1 second, right? This is what Clantenberg said, yeah? This is about 2 months ago. He said, if the referees give a penalty, as they should see it, and had the courage to blow, the VAR would have supported it. So we still have these problems where the referees are not making the original decision like we did in our time. That is the difference. So if we want to just use any other red cards this week,
so they say there's an over-reliance on it.
That's what I'm saying to you. And now VAR, to me, when I look at VAR, is like the way the Premier League are using it is that they're using it to tell the referee when he's on the football pitch, when he knows the game and he can see everything, not like he's got things blocked yet, he can see everything.
Yeah.
All of a sudden they're like, but you missed this. Like, no, it's not an obvious error. Referee can see specifically. If there's an obvious error and the referee can't see it, then you talk to him, say, go and have a look. And then if the referee sticks with it, he'll stick with it, if not even change it. But that's the biggest issue, Saeed. The biggest issue is that now VAR is getting too involved. Though I love that at the World Cup. VAR, let the game flow, because the World Cup, the game's flowed. I don't know.
Look how many minutes were added on, though, for VAR. But now 1 minute gets you added on for VAR in this league.
By the way, big up to everybody. You know what? If that's the good news, then that's the good news. Garnacho, that's encouraging. Let's hope that it's not too serious. It is what it is, honestly. It is what it is. Saeed, just quickly, this guy wants to ask you and says, Norton, would I take Neymar? No, thanks. It's a long pursue that he will be sold PSG summer.
Yeah.
If he plays 19 out of 38 games, would you take him with a bit? No, I will not.
No. I think ultimately, we're past that. I think the club is now looking towards young, progressive, but also players that Ten Hag will have a lot of concerns about players maybe, over 30 now, because he wants players that are fit and ready, man, for his system next year. What guarantee are you going to get? And you have to fit your system around Neymar. I don't think Ten Hag's the manager to do that. The way he is.
Saeed, I'm sorry, I have to. Oh, VAR, is it? Saeed, I have to refer to you. Is he getting a second yellow for this?
Casemiro got 2 red cards already. So he said, don't lie, man. It's a loose cannon. And he will get more red cards. You know it. Oh, my God.
Second yellow, straight red. VAR,
listen, before he even came to Man United, in at least over 500 appearances or games for Real Madrid, he didn't even see a single straight red card.
That's what Ten Hag said,
That's the basis so what's the basis of the substance?
And
like you say,
is that, you know how bad it is, yeah? Both situations, the referee on the football pitch did not want to send Casemiro. Well,
exactly.
They didn't. They didn't.
VAR, they had to review it,
VAR got involved. It was VAR, where 17-man brawl looks at one specific thing where him and Hughes is just holding Hughes' collar. That just tells you. So I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. Listen, we're going to move on to Sabitzer here, Saeed. Apparently, it's a groin injury. Sabitzer, Saeed. And I
still don't know what it is, really, to be honest with you, because it's just like, it just come out randomly. I think apparently, injury return dates. Okay, let's see this one here. Apparently, there's some return date on Sabitzer. Sabitzer, it says here, that it's a knock, and it goes, the only disappointment is Marcel Sabitzer is not available. Wow. That's what Ten Hag said.
When did
he's keeping his cards close to his chest, then.
Ericsson said is saying here, but definitely I can't tell an expectation, but I think the progress in the rehab is okay. It is going according to plan. So definitely we'll see him, but not here before international break. Yes, he's part of the group, but of course, the main focus in the moment, get back as soon as possible. We all need all the players. We need all the players, man.
Okay, Saeed, I'm going to ask you this. Alfie Kennedy puts us to a Nuruddin Sabitzer had injury, has had a bad injury at Bayern. Bayern do not
Don't
want
tell
to.
Nuruddin.
Same reason. I think United should not sign him permanent deal. What do you need? So, to me, he's only been injured once since he's been here. So to go from that, I can only judge from what I can see. He is a brilliant player. For me, I need to see what this manager. But if it's a groin injury usually takes a month, Saeed. How much of a big miss is that for United?
Big miss, man, because you know what I mean. We need numbers, man. Ten Hag's at this point just desperately needs numbers. He doesn't even need quality at this minute. We need numbers, and he's hardly. When you really deep it, he's hardly played. You know what I mean? He's played here and there and whatnot. He's had a couple of 90 minutes, but ultimately, we still haven't seen Casemiro and Sabitzer. By the way, have you not? I don't know if you guys noticed that, but he hasn't. They haven't played together in the Premier League. Have they played together in Europe at all?
No. Not unless he's come off the bench for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, they play when he's come off the bench.
Yeah, but not as a starting 11. So again, that's another one that we haven't unlocked. You know what I mean? Sabitzer and Casemiro. You know, and that won't happen for another 4 or 5 games. You know what I mean? And that's if Sabitzer is not serious his injury. So I don't know. I'm just kind of like this injury. I don't know. It was maybe impact. Ten Hag brought him on for the last 5 minutes. Maybe there wasn't a point of bringing him on, but he's brought him on. And like I said, man, it's one of them. We just have to wait. Biggest problem with the groin injuries, you can't train in the recovery period, so the period of getting match is long, probably 6 weeks. Wow! Don't get me feeling sad there, mate. But listen, man, I don't know, man. I think hopefully it's a recovery. He might not play with the international break, so that's good news at least that he doesn't play with international break. You know. So
yeah, it's crazy, man. So what they're saying here, a knock is not available. That's what he's saying, isn't it? It's not available. And I think these quotes were taken from the press conference than anything else. What's the question? What is the question? Go ahead, Arian Rashid. What's the question? What's your question? Go ahead. Post it again, bro. Post it again. Listen, guys. The season can fall apart here. The season. Big up Saeed, by the way. Go and check out Saeed TV. Tom, where do we go in terms of the injuries, in terms of what's going on at this football club, in terms of the depth in the squad? I might have to go to that well to get more water when there's hardly any water. We have to dig deep now in these games, weeks. I'm really worried about Fulham at home in the FA Cup next Sunday, honestly. I'm really worried about that game. I'm not going to lie to you.
I mean, bring Tom Huddleston back. I don't really know what to really say with it, but I've already just broken it down before, really, when we spoke about Mcfred. Even if you play both of them together, you don't even have a midfield option that can come on in the game. That is literally what you are stuck with. So the only other solution I guess you could use is Sancho will have to play number 10 and Bruno will have to play as one of the 8s. And then you'll have to have a player next to it. Whether it be McTominay, Fred, or whoever, Kobe Mino, Iqbal, whoever you want to play there, Martinez. Like, I just don't see how we have the squad depth in terms of the quality to do it, and if we base the substance off of it. Because overall, Sabitzer would be essential for us right now, because he would slot into this team straight away with the injury crisis that we have. But the one thing that I'm always saying, and I always said it under Ollie, and I will always stick to the same point, is I don't care if we need numbers or not. I'd rather play a player who's 100% than somebody who's 60%. That's the only thing, because you can move players about to play in different positions. We've seen it today. We've seen it with our versatility across the squads, where we try different things. Weghorst at 10, Bruno on right wing, left wing, wherever, and we interchange and use our versatility. So I don't want to hear that, oh, we can't, survive without Casemiro. We'll survive pretty well without him for the 3 games that we did. I think we still got 7 points out of a possible 9. I think that's not too bad, to be honest, considering the fixture congestion we had at the time. But on the whole, you look at the process and you think, well, we kind of need to just stick with what we've got. And I look at Ten Hag and I think, he's done well up to press and up to now, but I just think he needs to come up with something like magical now to get something going. And using a young player, I think, should be his last resort, personally. I don't want to be seeing Kobe Mino in the starting 11, Iqbal, any of them guys. I don't want to see any of them in the starting 11. I'd rather us play somebody who's experienced or is a major first-team player, because now is not the time to chuck youngsters in there and expect them to strike goals. You need to bring youngsters into the fold and into the sort of playing style and system, not chuck them in at the deep end and hope for the best. But that's what I would say on that.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, somebody says here Fulham got blissed by Arsenal. We're not an Arsenal.
No.
Toko. We're not Arsenal. We're not playing like Arsenal. Arsenal are full of goals at the moment. We're not. They missed their best player, Paulinho, this season, and they get smashed.
Yeah.
I don't think they conceded 3-0 all season.
Mitrovic has dried up as well, though, because he's not scoring.
Other than when they had 10 men against Newcastle. That's the only time they conceded 3 or more goals, I think. This season.
No, Brentford as well.
Yeah, Brentford, okay. Can you talk about Man United? Listen, there's no update on the Man United sale.
No, there is no.
There's no update, so there's nothing to talk about. We're not just doing it for clicks and flipping one guy in the know on Twitter says. We don't do that here. Trust me, I know being playing football for 35 years, how many groin injuries, only light exercise like swimming. Yeah, 100%. I 100% know what you're talking about. I've got a degree in sport and injury rehab, bro. Like, let's not talk about it. It is what it is. For me, it's going to be very interesting. No, Windy says here, where does Windy's talking here? Windy says, can we not play? No, he looks awkward. Lindelof, he might be good. But I'd rather have Martinez in midfield than have Lindelof, because Martinez is so much better on the ball. It's just you
need somebody who's got those passing options to go forward, even if you play as CDM. I think that's the point for us, and that's why even if you played Fernandes, that might even strengthen the point, because he has got that pass forward, because that's all he knows really at the end of the day in terms of the passing channels and the lanes going forward. Yeah,
Rashid is asking you here, Tom, does he prefer Qatar or Stephen Palucci? Palucci, I think it's the guy who does he own? American guy, apparently is interested in buying Man United.
Yeah. I know Stephen Pagliuca. He was one of the bidders for Chelsea, wasn't it? They made the final shortlist. Yeah. Personally, for me, listen, Stephen Pagliuca, as far as I'm aware, is interested in buying Manchester United, whether he's on the shortlist or not. And as far as I'm aware, if I had to make an assumption or a preemptive guess, then I would say that's where the mystery bidder sort of has come from. He did the same thing with Chelsea. He didn't come public until he had to do toward the end, where he then came public, put his plans on the table and everything. If I'm being completely honest, Pagliuca is probably the best thing that you can get from America as an owner. And I'll say that out of all of the Elliott Group, Harrison Blitzer, all the different people. But I just think with Qatar and what they've said everything that fans want to hear, don't they, at the end of the day? And I think Twitter basically states it all itself, doesn't it, with what they've said on Twitter? Because all these journalists and that are coming out, and I'm not going to name names because people know who they are, they're coming out, they're having wars on Twitter, like in comment sections on their own posts with fans about that, no sports washing at Man United, and that there was this major protest. There were 2 people stood there with a banner saying no Qatar, no sports washing. Like, 2 people, they've literally, I could go and get a bedding sheet and write it on there and it wouldn't make a difference.
Yeah, big up. Listen, big up, Tom. Listen, I'll say this. The reason why Martinez doesn't play in midfield, because the way we play out the back, Martinez is a deep lying playmaking centre half. That's what he is. He's a deep lying playmaking centre half, and that's why he won't put him in midfield. He will put him in that because the way we play out, the ball always comes out from the left-hand side, and that's where he plays because of the way we build up, and that's what Ten Hag wants. But for me, we just got to try different things and see what works. But for me, to me, I'm not going to lie to you, it's drawn now. There it is. It's right there in front of them. Here's a challenge to bring the marriage back together. The marriage got to come back together. Here it is for Mcfred. And we've got to cheer them. We've got to do that. Some people are saying that, oh, the Fred being on the title, that is not good. Well, you know what I say to that? You don't watch Fred every week, mate. I'm telling you, within 5 minutes, he looks the worst player you've ever seen. And in the next 2.5 minutes, he looks like the best player, one of the best midfielders, the Brazilian international. That's what it looks like. So at the end of the day, it's what it is. But please smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, people. And hopefully, we'll see you for the preview to Betis, which Casemiro can play. And I think he has to start and play that game. But yeah, Fulham are dangerous, people. Somebody talking here says, I'm sorry, but I don't want to hear this debate if Qatar come in about sport washing. Well, it's out there. It's out there, bro. Qatar, right things, has the right money. Yeah, it is what it is. Honestly, please, guys, smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. I think we're 100 short. 100 short, people. 130 short of 7,000. So please smash a like on the video and let's go. People hit the like. Help out the channel. Listen, big up, Jarvis. Let me know when you want to come on the channel as well, bro. And yeah, big up also to big up HK Music as well, brother. Fred is better than McTominay. He does not hide. Well, we don't. To be fair on McTominay, we play him much deeper than we play Fred. Fred is better for us. I do watch Fred. He's better than Mcfred. Yeah, you know what? That's your opinion, brother. But big up to Learson. Learson, we've not seen you on the chat lately, but big up to you, brother. Hopefully we'll have you on soon. Big up to you. Smash a like, people. United contacted them in November about Anthony. Yeah, big up African Liberals. United have contacted Premier League in November over Anthony Taylor putting their world back 5 yards further away in a defeat Villa. Lucas Digne scored. Yeah, well, it is what it is, isn't it? Anthony Taylor is just a muppet. He's the mud. It is what it is. Fred, number one, crap. He can't go to number 8. It is what it is, yeah. It is what it is. I will never be quiet about inequality, finance, but morally bankrupt United. Okay. I want to know who's. I will never quiet about inequality wherever I find it. Fair play. Fair play. Fair play. Just know that what I would love to know you more. I would love for you to come on the channel and I would love to talk to you. Are you on Twitter? Happy to go and get you on the channel to talk about it. Always happy to accommodate people who've got different views. But just know that the whole world is corrupt, mate. The whole world is bankrupt, morally bankrupt. You tell me who's moral in this world, then you tell me. You tell me who's moral. I see. I'm telling you, yeah, I've seen problems. Nah. I'm sorry. I'm really, really sorry. Swissy 2021. I'm really genuinely sorry on this one. Fred has had a good season. Yes, on the whole, better than last season. But in games, he's the most frustrating player you will ever see in your life. And if you can't tell the whole story and telling parts of it, we're not being selective here. We tell the whole story. Fred up the pitch is more when he plays with Casemiro. When Fred and McTominay get together, they're both horrendous. And I've seen enough with my own eyes in the stadium where you're not following the ball, and I saw it with my own eyes. At times, he can't pass 5 yards. That's how it is. Big up to you. Nah, it's not about 500 wrongs, mate. It's not about 500 wrongs. I'm sorry to say to you. You have no moral standing to talk about people being morally bankrupt and talk about when you live in this country or when you live in any other country. Every government, every country abuse human rights of their citizens. That's what happens in this world, mate. It's more far nuanced than anything else. What about yourself? What about myself? I don't know what you try to say here, bro. What about myself? For me, it's simple. Who do I want Man United to taking over by? I want people who can afford the club to get the debt away and can invest in the infrastructure and everything else. As far as the Fred question, is that at times he's been brilliant this season. At times he's been the most frustrating person ever. No, of course you do. No, 100%. Listen, if you're moral, yes, you do. 100%. And I will support your right to call it out. But when you're anybody in this media in this country or the government in this country or anybody else to moralize about what they do, yeah, you are 100%. I will always support your to have moralizing. But in terms of what you see what's going on with Man City, what you see what's going on with Newcastle, what Chelsea, how Chelsea were bought, and all of a sudden, because Man United now, so Man United have got to be the bearers of, nah, mate, I don't buy that. I'm sorry. The horses have bolted a long time ago, my friend. But you have the right to criticize it, 100%. People get Fred on a lot, but Bruno's not good either. Listen, Bruno plays as a number 10, HK Music. As a number 10, I want my number 10s to risk it. He's just not your preference type of player. That's what your argument is. There's nothing wrong with Bruno. He is not a player that you prefer because he gives the ball away and is not technically gifted enough to get past people and to set people up. He's not your preferred number 10. He's not your preferred number 10. But that doesn't mean that Bruno's been one of the best players for Man United this season, hands down. Does he give the ball away? Yes. Creative players give the ball away. You don't notice it when Kevin De Bruyne does it. Messi, all these great other players do it. You don't notice it because they've got better technical ability than Bruno. Anyway, people, love and like, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed, and please stay up behind. We need your point of view. Always come on here. Always respect everybody's point of view. But in terms of if you're asking me geopolitically, what we see, there ain't no government is every government is morally bankrupt. And all I say is that people who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. That doesn't mean about you. You can call it out. I'm like you. I will always stand up for the human rights. But other than hide behind this, come on the channel and we want to see your face and I want to have that debate with you. No problem. Absolutely no problem. Not a problem whatsoever. But love and light, people. No, I called out Chelsea, Newcastle, boohoo, Russia, welcome Qatar, racism, football, sexism. All, yeah, 100%. 100%. No, I called out Chelsea, Newcastle, boohoo, Russia, welcome. Listen, I don't know what you mean by boohoo. Yeah, I don't know what that means. I don't understand that. But yeah, all those things are society problems as well. 100%. From Russia to Asia to Africa, there are corrupt government. Listen, it's where it is. It's where it is. It is where it is, right? No, 100%, 100% splash, 100%. And like I said to you, Bruno's played every game this season, every minute on majority of the games. He's fatigued. Him as Rashford are fatigued. Both of them are fatigued. I swear to God, go to one game and see his body language. Saeed already talked about it. But anyway, people, I've lost my voice. Love and light. I need to rest the voice. Love and light. We'll see you on Wednesday for the Wednesday night for the preview for Betis. Peace, love, and light. Take care. Now, 100%, we call all of those out. Everything needs to be called out. Big up, people. Take care. I need to rest the voice. Win, lose, or draw. Bankers out. Glazers out. I want finance. I want you to go and look into the Glazers funding of the banks in Myanmar, where a genocide was committed last year, the year before. The last couple of years, there's been an ongoing genocide against the ethnic minority in Myanmar. So go and check out what the Glazers, how the Glazers are involved in that as well. Peace, love, light, take care. We'll lose or draw, Glazers out, bank us out. See you Wednesday night for their Betty's preview. Take care.